right, welcome everybody back to another episode of the Big Doug and Carmi Show, your one-stop shop for all things Commanders. It's a football Friday, and my guest today is the voice of the Commanders, Bram Weinstein. Bram, how are you, buddy?
Hey, Doug, how are you? It's good to talk to you.
Absolutely, it's been just a little bit. Are you going into season 5 now, Bram? Or is this 6 for you? I was trying to think because I think you got started right about the same time the podcast did.
Yeah, no, this is I'll be entering season 7. My first year was weirdest year ever, pandemic year. So they were Washington football team for the first time, and we didn't travel with the team. We had to call every game on, off a TV on the road, and the home games there was nobody in the stadium. So it was, weirdest first season ever, and now we're heading into season 7, and hopefully better times ahead with the results of the team for sure.
Which had to have been crazy for you because if I recall, you didn't have a ton of previous play-by-play experience at the time. So like getting a jump start in that situation must have been real challenging and exciting opportunity for excitement. I maybe that's it just from that, but I'm curious what you found has been the biggest difference between then and now.
Well, so I mean, like, I'm very thankful for that experience because no matter what happens now, there's nothing that's going to be like that. Nothing.
Yeah.
Like in calling the games, and like that was also the first time I'd ever worked in the booth with the people I was working with. And this was also, listen, I grew up in Silver Spring. I grew up a massive fan of the team, so it's not just that I got an NFL play-by-play job. I got the one I dreamt about. And so I wanted to do it really, really, really well. And I do think with time, and reps with the same people, and I think it's getting better and better. And I plan on doing this a long time. I love it. It's been great. I think the team is heading in a really great direction organizationally. And so I'm very excited, that what we're going to be doing here is not, every year going, okay, what's next? But where are we going as a team? And I think like this reboot, we can get into the offseason and all that stuff in a minute, but like this reboot has really energized me. I love the offseason we've had to this point.
It feels like it's done the same thing for the fan base as a whole, Bram, because I think last season kind of, the fan base is used to taking 2 steps forward and then 1 step back, right? And last year was supposed to be like this add-on to what we've had before, and then for various reasons that have already been discussed more than necessary, it just wasn't that. But this does feel to me like maybe the first year that we actually see Adam Peters' real imprint on the roster and the organization. Is that how you see it?
I agree. I think they're all 3 of these off seasons are very different. Like year 1 was, we clearly have to change this roster. And I think they went and did as much as they could to get some veteran leadership, as many positive impact players as they get. I think if they're being honest, that Jaden Daniels was probably even better than advertised, in year 1, that I don't know that they could have expected that, that like, I'm sure they thought he was going to be good. He's number 2 overall pick, and obviously he had this talent, but I don't think you could go into a season and expect a rookie to have the greatest rookie season ever by a quarterback. So, so from there, I understood what they did a year ago. They hit lightning in a bottle. They have a really, they've got all this great chemistry. If you really go back to the last offseason, there really weren't, in my opinion, compared to what their needs are now, I don't think there were that many really good options for them to go after. So it doesn't look great after 5-12 and all the injuries and everything that happened. And it looks like, that the offseason was kind of a bust. But I understood why they did what they did. It just didn't work out. But even at the time, it was like the fail-safe is here. They've never really given anybody any long-term deals with any real money on it. So it never really affected their cap negatively. And so they could always, shift gears very quickly. After what happened a year ago, it became abundantly clear that they have to shift directions. And I was a little nervous, honestly, after the season, their age, how many can you check in one off season? And I got to tell you, like, tremendous
The mobile network will get you sometimes. We'll see if we can't get Bram back in here. It's while we're waiting for him. It has been an interesting offseason, and Bram will get you back here.
Yep. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you broke up for just a second there.
Sorry about that. Yep.
No, that's okay. Bram, I'm curious. The two coordinators, both first time play callers. Does that say more about Adam Peters' confidence in Dan Quinn? Like, is that alarm? Should Dan Quinn feel good about the fact that he was given that, or is this an out after 1 year if things don't go right?
So I actually think it is a show of confidence in Quinn. I think everybody after last year, I think what they said in the season ending really resonated with me. They both were just echoing, this can't ever happen again. Just for so many reasons, this just can't happen again. And they obviously made their changes. The defense obviously there was going to be some form of change that was going to happen because of what happened in the middle of last year. The release of Joe Ed. I was surprised initially by the Cliff go on and kind of doesn't make sense. They want to back a little bit differently than they have. They want to run a more pro style of offense. So they had to rip the Band-Aid off, and they've allowed Dan Quinn to make his hires. So if you were wondering, like, is Adam Peters going to be overbearing? I don't think there was a lot of proof of that. So I think he let Quinn make the decisions. These were staff choices. Blau's an interesting one just because of age. That's an interesting way to go. And with Jones is different. He's a long time, hasn't gotten this opportunity. So I never called, but I look at him a little bit.
Bram, we're not getting any of it, bud.
Come through. Hey Doug, I'm happy to do it later this afternoon once I get probably to the car where I'm driving around. I'm happy to do this a little bit later if you want.
Yeah, let's do that, Bram. That's fine. Usually, I've done the car interviews before and they work, but this one's breaking up pretty bad. So let's do that. And for those that are watching, we'll boot it back up later. Thanks, Bram. Just text me and we'll figure it out.
How about I'll text you, but how about 2:30? We'll do it at 2:30. Does that work for you?
2:30 works. Let's do that.
All right. I'll talk to you then.
Yep. Thanks. So there you go. Bram will be back for those watching, Bram will be back at 2:30.